So you know what to do. You have all the information, you have all the videos saved, you've bookmarked things, you are an expert on paper. But when it comes to the action side of it, you're just not able to make it stick. Does that sound familiar? I know I've been at this stage in a variety of different interesting areas and in different categories where I could go through if I'm building a new project, setting up my shed. I have a variety of things, but when it comes to your health, you may be feeling something similar. And I'm going to give you my 4-step formula. There's 4 variables I've seen over the last 20 years in coaching that take us from knowing exactly what to do into implementing it in our life and able to take action and what that actually looks like. So with that being said, I'm going to pause. I'm going to let you take a moment to get comfy, get into a spot. We're going to be here for about 30 to 45 minutes. And let's dive on in. Okay. First things first, I mentioned a formula. I mentioned some of the variables here. And the key thing is having all the information. The cool thing with technology now, right, is we have all the information that we could ever want and or need. And even last week, I talked about this with one of my colleagues, friends, and clients, Outpost Frank. And we were talking about this same formula, but I wanted to kind of do a follow-up on it because we had some positive feedback. We also had some questions, and I realized there were some things I was leaving on the table. So I wanted to make a part 2 to this. And knowing that there's still some more actionable steps and some variables, I figure we're going to dive into those, as well as afford you guys, if you want to ask questions, jump into the chat, into the comments, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching the replay, let me know, and I will gladly dive on into all these variables when we have the question part. And foremost, let's get into the reality of it. Again, to highlight, we know what to do. You know what to eat. You know how to eat better. You know to move more. You know to get more sleep. You know all of these key pieces. However, if it's so simple, why are you still finding it hard to follow through? So we're going to break that down into different little blocks here and look at the 4-part formula, right? Again, having awareness, that's going to be one part. Having intention, having action, and having accountability to each of these pieces. And ultimately, if you ever watch my content, you know I love backing this with data. I'm going to show you the receipts as far as where we see this in peer-reviewed journals and peer-reviewed kind of studies, as well as the actionable, okay? Because again, you don't need more information, you need more action. And that's what I'm going to deliver for you guys. But I got to back it with the data, with the science, and with the receipts behind it. Also, what's going on, River? I'm getting set up in the shed here, so you might see me kind of moving around, playing with the lighting. Let me know what you guys think about the lighting in here. Let me know how we got set up in the he shed, and I'm really excited to be able to have this. So we're going to dive into, again, the new environment and break this down. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Also, I'm going to be doing some announcements at the end. So if you stay tuned at the end, we're going to have some announcements. We're going to be going over some giveaways and some really cool things that we have going down as well. So number 1, simple versus easy. The biggest thing I want you to take away is simple doesn't mean easy. Let's use an example, a mathematical example. It is simple to have $1 million at the end of the year. You just literally save $2,800 every single day for a year straight. That does not make it easy. The math is simple, but the action behind it is not necessarily easy. So let's look at how do we actually take action with that? What do we do with that? And I'll give you guys some other examples as well, just before we get into the action. 1, you can drink more water, go for a walk, lift weights, get to bed earlier. It's, again, simple concepts. It's not easy because of contributing variables: stress, environment, fatigue, certain habits or software systems or programs we have running in the background or what we're used to, right? Simple removes confusion. But discipline is what removes resistance. What deposits we're making is going to remove the temptation and rewire or reprogram the software that we're using, and ultimately the system we are running. Now, what do we do with that? We'll get into that. Dude, I love the comments. Oh, thank you for the comments. I appreciate it. All the goodness, all the love. And let's see if we got any other questions in here. Yeah, I need to find my gobble. Hey, Caleb, I see you. Don't need action. I need my gobble. I was actually just talking to someone about that. It's funny to see when people read like Capicola and when versus like the gobble when you talk about gobble. But yeah, let's dive into this. What are we gonna do with all this? So cool. Simple doesn't mean easy. Great. not only the reason I'm pointing this out is to not just make you feel better. Think, okay, what do we do with this? If simple doesn't mean easy, we get to focus on what makes it go from challenging to easy. This as much as possible. And it's removing resistance. If we know resistance is the issue and discipline is going to get us over that resistance, why don't we also just lower the resistance as much as possible? We'll get into what that looks like. So, and that's where looking at the formula breakdown, looking at our 4 checkpoints here. But I kind of, what are some things, I'm going to ask you guys in the chat and in the comments, what are some things you struggle with right now? It seems simple, but it's not necessarily easy for you to implement. Is it trying to, again, adjust your nutrition? Is it getting to bed earlier? Is it maybe adding in a planner to your life to stay organized? Is it meditating? Is it exercise? What is that thing? I'll give it a minute or two here, see if you guys have any like comments or specific things I can go off of. And if not, don't worry, I've got you. I'm going to riff off of it either way, but I like to offer some specific and direction where it's helpful. Play the TikTok, or not the TikTok, the Jeopardy theme song here. It goes do 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 do. The clock is ticking, as it were. All right, so we got that. Doesn't seem like we have any specific things that are jumping out for peeps. That's okay. I know that we can relate in a variety of components when it's coming to creating habits. So let's look at, again, this formula breakdown. I talked about it last week, and I want to break it down again for you guys and look at each piece and why it's impactful and some of the data behind it. So number one, we have awareness, okay? This is the knowledge stage and step. If we don't have that knowledge in the first place, we don't have anything to take clear intention and action on. So it's helpful to collect those videos, to have insight. That's why you have a coach or a professional, but you can do it yourself. The tricky thing is if we tend to stop at this stage. This is where most people hit the wall. And even if they do take action, they run into walls that we'll get to around that. So again, you know that eating healthy is going to be good for you. You even know what healthy food is. You know not to eat processed stuff. You know these strategies. You know to exercise more, get more sleep. But it's not just the awareness alone that's going to create change and transformation. It's having that awareness combined with action, and even, again, intentional action, because awareness by itself is just entertainment. It's just another thing you saved in your reels. It's another thing you bookmarked that you're going to say you're going to go back to that you don't. And even if you do go back to it, you're not doing anything with it. So again, having a podcast is great. Watching this video is great. Watching and bookmarking our workout videos, that's great. Reading the books, that's all great. But we need to follow it with action and implementation. That's really the key to this component of it. So I'm going to give you some data also. And I've referenced some of this last week, but I'm going to give you some more data for this week as well. So a research study showed that knowledge alone will rarely change behavior patterns. Behavior studies are showing that education increases awareness, but oftentimes fails to change the actual habits without environmental support. And that's, again, when we think about environmental support, it's going to have intentionality and action. Meaning, hey, I'm going to have a visual cue in my environment, or I'm going to add an environment where I can work out. I'm going to have a space that I'm going to add equipment. I'm going to add the resources that I need. And that's from, again, behavioral science and health education. So looking at, yes, we can have the knowledge, we can have the awareness, but we need to alter our environment, and we need to ultimately be able to have a clear intentional action step that we are taking. So let's look at the intention component that we talked about. This is where people say, I want to get healthier. Cool, we have an intention. You not only know what to do, but you now have the intention of what to do with it. But a lot of times intention can be vague and isn't really clearly specified, is not enough. For example, what might be a more vague intention is, I want to lose weight. A refined version of that is, I will train 3 times this week for 20 minutes body exercises or resistance bands, or with a workout program, fitness. And ultimately that process oriented outcome of being healthier or being able to lose weight. And ideally in that, you want to have a specific measurable marker. So I want 20 pounds of body fat in the next 100 days. Again, the outcome that's going to get us there, but the outcome, the intention helps drive the action. So again, specific intention increases our follow through. Even if we're not perfect, it allows us to continue to take action and move forward. And psychological research and studies will show that implementation along with intention significantly increases behavior change. So if we're implementing something with intention, very clear direction, that's going to create longer lasting behavior change from routine into habit. People who plan when and where they will act are much more likely to follow through. This is from a study at NYU, again, specifically for implementation and intention. So being able to know when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. And that leads us into the action stage of it, being able to be clear with the action that we are going to take. That's a great question on the fruit side. I got you. And again, yeah, if you guys want to drop questions in the comments, in the chat, I got you. Whether you want to troll a little bit, whether you want to have legit questions, I love it all. It's very entertaining and I appreciate it. So thank you. All right, so we got the first two steps. One, we got awareness. That's the knowledge stage. Two, we have intention. And if we think about this in the health coaching steps of it, the theoretical model of change, we're going from pre-contemplative to contemplative stages of change. We haven't even thought about it yet. Now we're starting to think about it. We're collecting information. Now we're going to start to take some action on it. We're getting into that planning stage of it and getting into the action stage thereafter. And with that being said, that's the third part of the formula is action. This is where, honestly, most people are going to fail if they even get to this stage. A lot of times we just stop at the awareness stage, the knowledge stage. So being able to make it even to the action part is huge. Let's even say you do a New Year's resolution, right? You want to lose weight or you want to start exercising, you want to quit smoking or whatever the thing is. This is where most people fail and they hit the most friction. But being able to understand the resistance around this friction is the key component. We're going to learn and leverage from an action as well as an accountability stage. So let's give some examples of this. So when we come with friction, it's usually, I don't have the time. Really, you don't have bandwidth, but let's just say the time thing. I don't have the time. I'm too stressed out. I just can't do it. I'm overwhelmed, which these are all, again, these are legit things I've heard and I've even experienced myself. The environment doesn't work out. There's friction of, I don't have the time to get to the gym. The gym's too far away. The store's too far away. It doesn't line up. It's not convenient enough. The easier you make the action, the more consistent you will become and the less resistance you will feel. So we'll get into, again, even tools around that. And I'll get into the second part of this, but being able to be aware, you want to lower the friction. Again, this goes back to, yes, knowledge, but okay, what do we do to lower the friction? That's the action step, okay? Here's what we do. You look at your life and you just be honest with yourself. This is the first thing I want you guys to just do, honestly, is let's be real. You can watch these videos and say, oh, you know what? I should work out for an hour every other day or whatever. You're not going to do that. Let's be real. And if you are, great. You're probably not in this arena. Start with what's realistic. I invite people to start with the first 3 to 5 minutes. And you might even say 3 to 5 minutes doesn't really feel worthwhile. But guess what? 3 to 5 minutes is doable for all of us. So start with that. Start with the first 3 to 5 minutes because then that takes away time. Hopefully that takes away stress. It takes away a decision fatigue. It takes away some of these key friction points because you'll have enough time for 3 minutes. Let's be real. You have enough time for that. And it shouldn't be stressful because you have a very clear plan that I'm going to lay out for you or your coach is going to lay out for you. So again, that's where we make it easy. We stack things on top of already existing habits. And we ideally do them at home. If we can't make it to the gym, do a home workout, get bands, get body weight, start with 10 push-ups, start with 10 squats, start with a 1-minute plank. If you can't do that, cut it down by half, keep doing it until you can do it. And then stack things on top of each other. If you have a strong morning routine, like my morning routine is like I take supplements, I will make coffee, and I will journal. That's like what I do every single morning. Rain or shine, I will give myself a high five in the mirror. These are basic things I stack my habits off of. So if I want to add in something new, like a new exercise routine, doing PT, I usually will add it in there. Now here's the data behind this. Habit research shows it takes, on average, we used to think it was 21 days. On average, now it's about 66 to 67 days to build a habit, not 21. And this is specifically from the University of College at London. And the point to this is knowing that, hey, if I'm expecting myself to have a habit in 21 days and I don't, I might throw up my hands and say, I'm a failure. I'm going to stop taking action. But if you know it's going to take twice as long as that, you know that you can iterate and refine this. So be patient with this component. This is the most important part. This is where people fail. They don't stick to it long enough. They do two things. They make it too hard and they don't have enough patience with it. So to recap, one, again, have awareness. Be aware of what is going on. Have your insight. That's the knowledge stage. Number two, have very clear intentions. Know where you want to go and lay it out very specifically. So right now, again, the action step is let's get clear on your goal. Know your goal. Make it measurable, make it specific so a 5-year-old can understand it. If you can't explain to a 5-year-old, it's too complicated. That's like the easiest way to go about it. My 5-year-old can understand, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds of weight. weight. I want to look on the scale and see less than 20 pounds of where I'm at now. That's pretty direct and specific in the next 3 months. Then we take, okay, that's the intention. I have awareness of what am I doing that's not aligning with that. I'm eating too many calories. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm too stressed out. Boom. Now I'm going to take action. What do I need to do? The first thing I'm going to do is start tracking everything, for example. That's the first action step. I'm going to log all my food, or I'm going to take pictures of all my food. I'm going to start getting with my coach and evaluating a workout program. And then I'm going to add the last layer, which is accountability. Speaking of a coach, this is the missing multiplier, because you could do it on your own, or you could even, again, you don't even need a coach. You could literally just have an accountability buddy, a group, whatever, and make a post. But this is the missing multiplier. When people try to do everything alone, they fail for varieties of reasons, but support is such a big one. Community is such a big one. And research will show people are 65% more likely to achieve a goal when they commit to someone else or a group. So when you vocalize it to another party, whether it's online, in a group chat, in person, you are increasing your success rate by 65%. And that number jumps up to 95% when it's scheduled accountability check-ins. So when you say, hey, every Friday, I'm going to post myself jumping on the scale, or I'm going to share what my body composition is, you increase your adherence up to anywhere from 65 to 95%. That is a massive data point from Dominican University around goal accountability studies. So to recap what I just touched on, have your awareness. That's the knowledge stage. Have very clear path and intention. That's your goal. That's the outcome you're creating. Then have a very clear action-oriented plan that you refine over time, and add in accountability, whether it's with a coach, it's a person, it's a loved one, it's online, it's social media, it's trolls in the comments, it's whatever you want it to be, but you're putting it out there. That is the key step that's going to increase your success anywhere from 65 to 95%. That's a crazy data point. And then ultimately the results. Results are going to come from consistency, not intensity. So you're not going to come out sprinting for 2 weeks and expect results. I mean, you can, but that's not going to be sustainable. That's why knowing it's going to take at least 2 months is impactful, so we can reframe our approach. For anyone that's ever run any kind of race, this is the classic thing they tell you: don't come out too fast. I've done that before in a half marathon. Came out way too fast, running a sub 8-minute pace when I was trying to keep a 9-minute pace, and I burnt myself out at the end. So be able to understand we're playing the long game, the sustainable game here. So what that means is don't overestimate what you can do in the next 2 weeks. Be mindful of what you can do in the next 6 months. And that's where people underestimate what's possible. A great expression, I think it was Alex Hormozi, is people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Play the long game. Play the infinite game. There's a great book one of my coaches, Eric Uras, gave to me a while ago called The Infinite Game. If you were living forever, you could play the infinite game. Life was always going to go on. How would you approach it? You wouldn't have a time issue because you would have forever, basically. What's up, Johnny boy? I see you, dude. Let's just check the comments here really quick. See you got questions. What? You can't hear me? All right, that's good to know. Let's check. How's that? All right, there we go. So let's break down this a little bit more. So we got the basic formula. Now let's understand, where does the formula potentially fail? We're going to run some roadblocks. Stress is going to be the number one culprit. This is something I've talked about in prior podcasts and prior episodes and prior pieces of content. The impact of stress, whether it's for our brain chemistry, for ADHD, for our neurodivergent peeps, for our neurotypical peeps, it doesn't really matter. Stress is going to impact your logic-oriented brain, as well as your ability to say rational and fight impulses. So you're going to be more impulsive the more stressed out you are. So cortisol, our stress hormone, rises, our decision-making capabilities plummet, and also our ability to control our impulses plummets. So we're going to be more impulsive. We're going to be less rationally decision-making. So that's what's going to lead you to maybe having ice cream at 2 a.m. So what do we do with that? Cool, I know I'm stressed. What do I do? That's the question, right? And there's a variety of things you can do. But realistically, it's being able to do something that brings you joy 9 out of 10 times. If you can do more joyful oriented activities, you will be less stressed. I'm oversimplifying it to a degree, but that's a key thing. focus on where there's stress in your life. And then we can start to actually do something about the stress. We can start to come up with a formula on how we have a plan of attack. Because even with myself and my coaching team and our medical director and our entire staff, we don't just look at our health goals in a vacuum of like, okay, calories in, calories out, exercise, sleep, that's it. We consider life. Do you have kids? What is your work schedule like? What's your commute like? What's your day-to-day? What time of year is it? What are some things that you're dealing with? What are some identities you have around yourself that we may have to influence or work through? These are all things that contribute to stress. And again, the narrative we're telling, the story we're telling about ourselves. Okay, so now let's pause here. I'll see again if we've got questions, and I'll dive into our systems versus motivation. If you rely on motivation, you're going to just fail. Ultimately, that's the simplest way I can put it. We don't rise to the motivation that we have. We fall to the levels of our systems. This is obviously a play on a particular quote, but the key there is, again, if you're aware of it, having systems so that you don't have to just solely rely on motivation. Just going back to that math analogy of, okay, I want to have $1 million at the end of the year. If you're saying, all right, I'm going to work on motivation alone, we just basically need $2,800 a day for 365 days. You have $1 million. Now, again, that's simple. That doesn't make it easy to make $2,800 a day or save that amount. But if you're relying on motivation, you might only do that every so often. If you have a system in play that automatically does it, or you default to, it becomes less resistance oriented. So motivation can be the catalyst. It can start things. It can be an initial part, but it doesn't sustain transformation. Systems are going to sustain transformation. And let's just go over some, what is the system in this example, right? Having scheduled workouts on a weekly basis, being able to have meal prep and planning, being able to have accountability partners and meetings and check-ins, being able to have ways we measure and track progress, and ultimately having a coach. Again, you don't have to have all of those things, but let's be real. Those are all, when we combine, going to give you more success. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. Once again, you fall to the level of your systems. If there's one thing you take away, it's that. And the action step is to start implementing your system. If you don't have a system, create the system. That's what all this knowledge that you're looking for should help you integrate into your life. And if that feels overwhelming, pick one thing. The one thing I would recommend is find someone you can check in with on a daily and weekly basis. If you can do that one thing, you'll increase your success rate by 60 to 90% based on the studies that I am referencing here. And you can see them in the blog post as well when we repurpose this, okay? So again, I'll pause here and I'm curious, what do you guys think? Where do you get, again, stuck in this formula? Is it around awareness? Is it around action? Is it accountability? Or what habit have you been trying to build lately and you've just been running into a wall? This is the opportunity where, like, in real time, you can have a coach walking you through this if you want to share. And if not, that's okay too. Believe me, I'm totally fine with going into some of the tools that I've talked about and some different things that we can plug. For example, we have the LOF resistance bands. They're a great tool. And on Amazon as well as on TikTok right now, they are $10. Normally, they're 10 times that price, really 15 times that price. But I wanted to make it accessible for people for a variety of reasons. I won't go into that. The point is, you can get resistance bands as a home training system. I'll actually show it to you right now. You can get your bands with everything you're going to need right here. Plus, inside here, we not only have your short loop bands that you'll be able to do, your long loop bands that you'll be able to utilize. We have our handles and our door stopper you can clip it onto. So pretty much anywhere there's a door that closes becomes your anchor point. You have handles you clip it onto. So you can basically transform into any exercise you want. We have our cheat sheet for how much resistance is on the long and the short loop bands, as well as we have our QR code that will let you scan it and get free access to our app, which I'm going to pull out. It's all the way at the bottom here. So we have, again, you can scan this QR code and you're going to get an entire coaching program. You get a 3-day workout split. You get free access to our app. You also are going to get a coach assigned to you that's going to coach you through this process for each of it, as well as have a meal plan and have that behavior change integration. And what's up, Tico? Thank you for the follow, by the way. So the point of me saying all this is that's something as a tool we can utilize. But again, I want to pause there to see if you guys have questions, again, around where you might be feeling some resistance in this formula, where the stages around this change might you have challenges. Is it around the intention, not knowing where you want to focus? Is it the action, not knowing what to do? Or is it maybe lacking accountability to be able to have someone to support you through this process? Feel free to, again, share them in the chat. One of the things that came in ahead of time that I looked is one of the areas I had someone share they were having challenges around was being able to implement when there's a pattern disruption. That's a fancy way of saying, let's say you go on vacation. Let's say you get sick like I was last week. Let's say there's an atypical thing that disrupts your pattern, you go to a wedding or something like that, getting back into the routine. The one thing I would invite is a lot of times what people do is they have a certain plan in the system and then something disrupts the system breaks down, try and start exactly where the system was. That's where you're going to potentially fail because you're putting stress under a system that's not fully adjusted. So go back one checkpoint, go back one step. For example, if you were working out 3 days per week for 60 minutes at the gym, you get back, go back to starting with either a home workout 3 days a week for 30 minutes, or go to the gym, but do a 20 to 30 minute workout 2 days a week instead of 3 days a week. Refine and make the system easier when there's a pattern disruption, and that will allow you to get back into the action. And that's where the accountability piece comes into play. I'm experimenting with a little bit of we're calling it our growth guild. We're going to have a check-in call every other week that I'm experimenting with. Depending on how it does, we're actually going to launch it to the public. I also have a planner I've been dialing in. It's not fully ready yet, but it's going to be out in the weeks ahead, so stay tuned for that. And what we did launch last week that was free for 5 days. Unfortunately, if you guys missed it, you missed it. We had our Kindle edition books, the 28-day reset, the barbecue cookbook, and our slow cooker cookbook. They were all free. They were in the bestsellers in their categories. These are great, again, action-friendly tools that you can leverage that give you the plan. It gives you a clear layout and you get accountability. Each one will have a QR code you can scan to get onto our app to get you a coach that you can try on us for 2 weeks, absolutely free, just a coach that's going to walk you through things. So we have our bands. We even have books, the printed copy books. And again, I have a couple of different, tools I like to leverage, whether it's from my planner itself, where I write all my stuff down, having my daily journal. These are anchor points I find really helpful, is having anchor points during your day, being able to have supplements we add. And honestly, here's my thing. When it comes to supplements, whether I have my omega-3s, magnesium, I have some energy components. This is an example of, it's actually less of what the supplements are to me. It's more about, do you do it consistently? And is it a habit you can stack on top of? That's to me the more valuable part, to where I take them in the morning time routine. But with that being said, I'll kind of start to bring it home. And again, to recap here, we have this 4 checkpointed formula. 1, awareness. That's your knowledge stage. 2, your intention. That's having clear direction. It's like using a GPS system. If you don't know where you want to go, there's no way you're going to get there. You're just going to wander and meander about. So actually start to get an idea of where you want to go. That's where then having the knowledge of, okay, cool, I know where the city, you can have an idea of where the map is laying things out. But if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter how well you know the city, you don't know where you're going. Have the clear directions to take you there. It'll tell you, okay, you're going to go 2 miles to make a left. Then you're going to make a right. And then guess what? Accountability is, if you miss a turn, the GPS system auto corrects and lets you know, hey, you missed the turn, turn around. That's the accountability part in this analogy. And that's the whole step formula. So have your awareness, have a very clear path you want to go down, be able to take action, and then ultimately have support and accountability. That's going to deliver you results. And the one thing I want you guys to take away from the measurable side that I thought was the most impactful from the data is realizing having an accountability buddy or an accountability scheduled check-in on a weekly basis increases your success rate up to 95%. So if there was a pill I could give you, says, hey, if you take this pill every day or every week, you're going to be 95% more likely to succeed. Wouldn't you take that pill? You would, right? So why not create accountability check-ins on a weekly basis? The real answer, if we're being honest, what I see time and time again, is people don't want to look at that they failed. They think of it as failure, not as growth and adjusting and learning. So there's an opportunity, and that's maybe a topic we'll dive into next week, which is the opportunity to reframe and adjust how we view things. Because again, this is why the whole idea of we know what to do, we don't do it. Part of it is not being clear on how to make adjustments and how to be patient. Part of it's also the fear of failure, saying, oh, well, I'm going to fail. I failed in the past. I'm no different now. It's going to happen again. We'll dive into that maybe next week or the week after. You guys let me know. But that is pretty much going to do it for at least the kind of talking point side. I'll circle back to the questions one more time to see what we got. And with that being said, we'll bring it home from here. And if you guys have questions on the products, you let me know what's up. All right, let's see what we got here. Ooh, here we go. You know what is number one failure of every home gym? People buying more than they need from the start. Yeah, like people will see each other's gyms and see all these $10,000 weight benches, leg press rocks, or racks, barbells, pulleys, when it's all you need to do is start with fundamentals. Yeah, get yourself a power tower, body weight calisthenics, cardio machine. Yeah, and you're good. Yeah, 100%. That's a great point. So, see, I got to give a shout out to, I'm going to butcher your Twitter. I'm just going to call it Hooli. So that's a great point. Yeah, for like sub $400, I would even argue you don't need any of this. You can literally just do body weight stuff, but that's a great point. You can it could be tempting to overcomplicate things. Or, hey, if I spend money on this, it's going to solve the problem. You're just throwing money at the wall and it's waste. That's why we have the band system. If you jump on over to Amazon, we have on my live stream, or you can watch the replay. Like, that's why I'm choosing the band. Give me the heads up on the lag. How's that? Is that better? Can you guys hear me okay? I'm dialing in the internet here because I'm in my shed again. The Wi-Fi. I'm probably in the That's a great point. Is what I'm getting at is you don't have to make overcomplicate things. Instead, I like to do like low cost startup. The one thing I wouldn't $10,000 $10,000 coaching. That's like you're way better gonna be getting a return on versus just getting fancy equipment. To your point, people see like these $10,000 home gym build outs or more. Be like, oh, you don't need that. You spend $100 if that and have everything you need from an equipment and a material standpoint. What I would say, where you want to invest your money is in the coaching and the professionals you work with. That's where you want to spend your money. Also on the food that you put into your body. That's where you want to spend your money. But other than that, I'll kind of bring it home. I want to pause. See, do you guys have any questions? Any thoughts? I'm going to step off here and like hydrate super quick. If not, I'll bring it home from here. We go. Physique check. Oh, yeah. Johnny boy. These are my man Johnny wants to see all the six packs and all the fucks. Dude, you can, again, I think it's also, that's a really important thing. When it comes to health and wellness, when you're working with someone, I think it's really important that they walk the walk you want, not necessarily for themselves. Yes, for themselves, but also have they shown that they can replicate the results for others? Because let's say you could take any 20-year-old that's like in great shape, they're not going to be able to coach a 45-year-old dad that life because they just don't have those skills. Resume. You can also see it on my like media. You can see our before and after testimonials, what we created for literally thousands of people, time and time again. And if you asking for that, social media, you can see pictures of me if you really want to. But with that being said, maybe I'll have to start to do like shirtless workout videos so you can kind of see the body composition. If you guys want that, yeah, we all have abs, by the way. Fun fact, homie. Everyone's got abs. It's just do how much layer of fat you have on top of that. And even that, I'd say I'm at about like 17, 18% body fat right now. So you're not going to see the abs the way it would at like 15% or 12% or 10%. And if that's what you're looking for, do it. But let's be real, Johnny. You're not taking action on it until you're ready. So when you're ready, you let me know, and then I'll give you the ab check. In the meantime, y'all, feel free to check out the channel, the content, follow and subscribe wherever you're watching this. And I will see y'all next week for some more awesome sauce. And feel free to, again, go to our website, vote on the topic, on the content, and I will take care of you. I'm ready. I got you, dude. All right, how about this? You hit me with 10 push-ups and I got you. See if we got any last minute questions. I think that's it. All right, y'all. I'm going to jump into my next coaching session here, get into it. And then Johnny, join me on the next workout live stream and you can see my body composition, home dog. But also just check social media. You'll see all the stuff that's up there. You can see it. Later, y'all. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for enjoying, tagging in. Tico, thank you for the follow. Johnny and everybody, thank you for tagging in. Gabagool, thank you for the comments. Kenzie and El Padrino. Later, y'all.